Hey everybody, I'm Anya Winnica, the Director of Education here at the Not Pro, and we are all about bringing you fabulous content every month in our monthly webinars. And today, super exciting, we're going to talk about social media. Could there be a hotter topic? I don't think so. Okay, so we're just going to get right to it because we've got a lot to cover. So let me share my screen with you. I've got a great presentation to share with you. I think you guys are going to get a ton out of it. All right. So like I said, we're talking social media today. We're going to go through some mistakes not to make, some really, really common ones that a lot of local business owners are making. We get it. You're like busy. You're running a business, but these are mistakes. I'm going to break it down for you. You really do want to avoid if you want to grow and engage your social following. We're also going to talk about some of the trends. There's a lot of articles out there that you can read about the trends and the latest in social and the algorithms and all that stuff. Go for it if you're a super nerd and you're into it, but I'm going to bring you some of the ones that I think are most important and most relevant to you and the business that all of us do in the weddings industry. So let's get started, right? Fun fact, the average person spends nearly 2 hours a day on social media. That's more time on social than eating and drinking every day. So yes, things that you are required to do to survive, and then social media way, way up here. Wow. So fun fact, moving on, social presence required. Millennials, that is your customers, expect businesses to be active on at least 3 to 4 channels. And that meaning channels like Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and Twitter. We're going to talk about some of the channels that are most important to the weddings industry and to couples planning their weddings. But keep that in the back of your mind as we're going through it, that, you can't just rely on one. You really need to be omnipresent, just for the same reason that you're on the Knot, that you're a member of the Knot, that you have a profile there, that couples are finding you there. They also need to be able to find you in all the other places that they're used to trusting, like Instagram, like Pinterest, and like other places. Over a third of millennials agreed that if a brand uses social media, they like that brand more than a brand that doesn't. So therefore, if you don't have an Instagram account set up, this is the time to do it. You don't have to do it every day. You don't even have to do it 3 times a week, but you've got to have a presence there, and you've got to be somewhat active, because what you're telling a couple is that I get you. I understand the places that you are, and I want to connect with you there. Because more and more couples are not picking up the phone right away. They are stalking you. They're looking you up on the Knot. They're Google searching you, and they're going to all these social channels. And if you don't have a presence on one of those big channels and your competitor does, they might go to the other guy just because of that. So keep that in mind. And think also about influence, like how much influence that you have. You can actually, by investing time and energy into your social strategy, you actually increase your influence over couples' purchases decisions, just like you do by having a Best of Weddings badge or having incredible reviews. You also increase your clout when you have a social presence that is strong. Couples, millennials, will spend 20 to 40% more on a brand or product if that business has engaged with them on social. Over half of them said that they would unfollow brands on social media if they posted irritating posts. Well, I don't want to do that. That's why I'm going to show you some posts that you should be focused on rather than the ones that might irritate couples. Okay. When it comes to planning, we want to be relevant. Obviously, there's lots of stats out there about social, and those were interesting enough. But when we're talking about the wedding planning sector specifically, the Knot runs a study every year. It's called the Not Real Wedding Study. If you haven't heard of it before, it is the longest running, most comprehensive industry study of its kind. We can trend and track data for the last 10 years in the bridal industry, in the weddings industry, and some of the questions that we ask of late have to do with social media usage. So 89% of couples, according to our study, use Pinterest for inspiration. They're using it for inspiration. They're using it to find ideas. Oftentimes they're using it at the beginning of the planning process. How many of you have had a couple tell you, oh, well, let's just look at my board together? And P.S., that's why the Knot has the vision card now, because we're trying to help you see that upfront information faster and get to the conversation that you need to have in order to close that sale. I digress though. Also, good to know, also from our survey, about the same number of couples are using and considering Instagram as just as important as Facebook. So it's a split, 40% and 40% of couples say they use Instagram and 40% say they used Facebook. And that, guys, is an extension of your brand. So for those people out there saying Instagram is the only place, Facebook is the only place, Pinterest is the only place, it is not. It is all the places. Now, this might deviate depending on your category. For photographers, your photography is clearly very important to couples. And so maybe Instagram is a little bit more of a pull for you. But that doesn't mean that you can't have that presence or that you shouldn't have that presence on Facebook or even Pinterest. So we're going to get to that. All right. Social is inspiration. Like I said, a lot of couples are using it as inspiration. They're using it to gather. They don't know anything yet. They know what their friends had at their weddings. They know what they see on social. They know what they've seen on TV or on Netflix or whatever. But they're really, at this point, they're engaged and they're using social as a means for inspiration, just like they do for the knot. So 78% of couples reported implementing an idea at their wedding that they found on social media but hadn't seen anywhere else. So they're using it just like little researchers. They're searching hashtags. They're searching things like white wedding flowers, Alabama wedding planners. They're searching for those things so that they can figure out who's doing what, and maybe even finding an idea that they can then go show their florist or their cake baker how to implement as well, or to have implement at their wedding. So it's an important, influential channel, and that's why we're all here, right? We want to learn how to nail it. This is also a good time to mention other hashtags that are relevant. And we're going to get to hashtags just in case you guys don't have a total grasp on it. But the Knot actually has a series of hashtags that we started a couple years ago, encouraged couples to use, and now are encouraging you all to use as well. Because what happens is that couples are looking for ideas, like we said. So we developed a series of them. So we have the Knot venues, we have the Knot flowers, we have hashtag the Knot weddings, hashtag the Knot cakes. You can go there and actually, or if you're a pro, or if you're say a cake baker, you can upload a photo of one of your cakes. And when you do that to Instagram, use the hashtag the Knot cakes. And chances are better that couples from the Knot are going to find you through our own Instagram channel because we're also promoting it. That's a long way of saying basically like get in on the game of hashtags and know that there are specialized hashtags for you to use. Venues is a really good one. For those of you venue owners or venue social folks out there, use hashtag the Knot venues on all of your posts. It will help you come up and be more discoverable. Cool? All right. What we're going to cover, like I said, 5 mistakes not to make. We're going to talk about mistakes, and then you're not going to make them. And then you're going to be geniuses at social, right? And then we're going to talk about some of the trends for 2018 and beyond that you should know about and start thinking about, maybe experimenting around, or maybe just doing them because they are so important. And this is definitely the direction that social media is going. And finally, we're going to talk about, I don't know, just the hottest question ever. How do I have more followers on Instagram? I'll walk you through some must-dos, and then we're going to end it, if we've got a little time at the end, show you a quick video on hashtagging. For those of you who have been to our education workshops, we run them all around the country, educating pros in Annapolis and Detroit and LA and San Diego, all over the map. And at some of these workshops, we'll show that video. So for those of you who've seen it, you just look at it again. It's a fun one anyway. All right, so we're going to talk about mistakes not to make. Let's start there. 5 mistakes you might be making, and now you're not going to make them. Number 1, mistake. This is a big one. This is like the number 1. You're treating all social channels the same. Guys, social media channels are not all made equal. They were all developed for very different reasons. Facebook, think of Facebook as being tied to networks. And in so doing, you can think of it as more of a word of mouth machine with your clients. It's not just a place to slap your business information and like set it and forget it. It's a place that you can really use to tap into each and every one of your clients as friends and family circles. So think about what the content is that they're going to want to share or comment on, or maybe even like mention one of their friends on, and think about that content on Facebook differently than for example, Instagram. Instagram, that's like more of an extension of your brand, like your visual presence and the visuals that you want couples to associate with your company and your business. So use it to create strong brand affinity. Treat your Instagram account like a portfolio. Make sure that you're really covering your bases there, and don't just throw something up there on Instagram just because you think you have to. Actually take the time to curate it and make sure that when a couple lands on your Instagram profile, those first 6 or 9 images that they see at the top of their phones, those images are all really reflective of your best work, because they're not going to scroll much further than that, if at all. So think Facebook tied to networks. Think of it as more of a word of mouth machine than anything else. Instagram, think of it as an extension of your brand and a place to put your best of the best. And we'll get into Instagram stories in a bit, because that is very, very hot right now. And you guys should all understand it and use it, because you can really grow fast using it. Finally, Pinterest. People are like, Pinterest, yeah, everyone's on Pinterest, but I don't really know how to use it. Pinterest is a visual search engine. Just think of it like Google, but for photos, right? So use it to drive traffic back to your own website, or use it to drive traffic to your profile on theknot.com. Literally, you can pin your own images from your storefront to Pinterest and watch it go wild on Pinterest and bring you referrals back to your main channels. So be it your website or your profile on theknot.com. Cool stuff. So don't make that mistake. Don't treat all those social channels the same. I'm going to give you an in-depth look at each of those examples. Now, treating Facebook like a word of mouth tool, right? So here's how that might look. You have a wedding that you did over the weekend or a couple weekends ago, but hopefully you're being more relevant about things. You had a wedding that you did. You pull together the images. This especially works for photographers, but if you're the planner, the florist, the cake baker, the venue, if you guys can all get on the same page and the same team and do this together as a team, all the better, because you're really going to be able to tap into the network. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a mini post on the couple that just happened, on their wedding that just happened. And as soon as Sunday or Monday hits, if you can make this happen, you're going to post it on Facebook and you're going to tag the couple and all the other wedding pros involved. The sooner the better after the wedding, because what's going to happen is the couple is going to then share it with all their friends and family. Remember, even those friends that didn't get invited to the wedding, they're looking for the good stuff. They're looking to find out what that wedding looked like. And this is up to you to get it out the door faster than like Aunt Linda, who posted the random photo of the couple at the cocktail hour. You guys have the gold. You guys have the images. So posting a sneak peek or posting a quick video, especially if you're a videographer, is like gold, because there's so many people still thinking about that wedding and paying attention to that wedding, that if you were able to hit that feed, hit Facebook in such a relevant way, you are far more likely to be seen and to be remembered and to be the originator of the content that all their friends and family see. Okay, so that's treating it like a word of mouth tool. You can do it for weddings that already happened a while back. I'm just saying that if you can get into the practice of doing it sooner, all the better, because people are totally looking for that information. All right, next. Remember I said use Pinterest like it's a search engine? This is what I mean. Just like if you were to go optimize your website, you would put keywords in your website to make sure that Google could find you, like Kansas City wedding flowers or Kansas City romantic wedding flowers or whatever. Wherever you live, you would put those keywords into your website to make sure that Google could find you. That's basic SEO talk. But on Pinterest, it's not much different. So when you're uploading a photo, when you're pinning a photo to a board, your own board, what you want to do is include rich keywords in your caption so that Pinterest knows what this photo is, and you are more likely to rank when people go searching for those photos. Because remember, a lot of couples aren't going to just type in your brand name into Pinterest and see if you're there. They're going to be discovering photos through Pinterest's main feed. Pinterest is going to be recommending images that they think that this couple would like to see. And this is on you to make sure that all of your images are super tagged. So for example, you might say the name of your venue, the Berg Space, you might say Modern Loft, and you might say like over the weekend in, XYZ city. If you have a great image of a bride who's wearing a big Vera Wang dress. Great. Say, Vera Wang wedding dress, ball gown, wedding in, wherever, San Diego. So those are the types of keywords that you want to be putting in. And it goes for anything. It could be blue wedding shoes, could be wedding dog with like flower collar, could be anything. But what's important is that you're not being generic about your captions. You're not saying things like pretty wedding or Anya and Ben's wedding. Nobody's going to be searching for. They're going to be looking for relevant keywords. So that's on you to make sure you're doing it. And if you have a staffer, if you've got somebody on your team who has a little time in between projects, or maybe is coming in on the weekend and working and there's a little downtime, have them be your pinner and create sort of a one-sheeter of guidelines as to how to do it. Definitely be pinning the images from your website. Any features that you have, if you are featured on the knot.com in a real wedding, oh my gosh, pin those images. Anything in your storefront, you should pin to Pinterest. You can pin it more than once. You can keep doing it to give yourself more, of an opportunity to be found. And make sure you're pinning the right photos. Photos that work on Pinterest are typically vertical, and they're just vertical, but you could do squares, definitely not horizontal. Why? Because when you're looking at Pinterest, most of the images that go straight up and down are filling the screen. And the ones that are horizontal are kind of getting lost in the middle. So honestly, don't even bother pinning horizontal images to Pinterest. Just do verticals and squares. Cool? All right. Instagram, think of it as an extension of your brand, meaning your visual brand, but there are some things that you want to do. You want to create a clear and credible bio. You want to make sure your bio is like really, really accurate, not just accurate, but actually says like who you are and why you do what you do. And what you believe in. If you know what you believe in, for example, if you know that deep down, what's most important to you is to have your couples live in the moment or something along those lines. You want to put that in your bio. You want to make sure that you're catching your couples' eyes as soon as they hit that page. You definitely want to come up with a strategy for your content, be it whether you're going to post once a week or you're going to post 5 times a week. Come up with a number of times of frequency, and then also come up with an idea as to what you're going to post. Figuring out what you're going to post is like the name of the game. So if you're a venue, you definitely want to be showcasing your space, but you're probably going to realize that real wedding photos work best, and there are probably certain rooms or certain spots around your venue that will work even better than others. So maybe come up with a ratio of I'm going to post this many detail shots and this many room shots per week or per month, and then go from there. Post at the best times. We're going to talk about that, and then tag everybody who is involved. Definitely do that as well. But really, overall, what we're saying here is think of Instagram as an extension of your brand, and make sure when they hit that grid, they open up their phone, they go and they find you on Instagram, that those top images are really a true reflection of who you are. And if they're not, there's a button called archive. Just tap that and get it out of that feed. Okay, moving on. Number 2, you're chasing followers. How many times have I heard, how can I get more followers? Oh my gosh, I would be like super duper rich if I had $1 for every time I heard that. Think quality over quantity instead. Don't think about the number of people following you. Think about the quality of the people following you. Make sure that you're just investing your time and ensuring that people who do follow you get a lot out of it, because I promise if you're strong at the core like that with your small group of friends and followers, you will grow. But if you don't focus on them and instead you're focusing on just getting people to follow you in all different ways, and you're coming up with like almost gimmicks to get them to follow you, it's not going to work in the same way. They're not going to be as engaged. And honestly, social media isn't going to be doing you as much of it isn't going to be as valuable to you as it would be if you would just focus on the quality. So in other words, your follower count is not as important as your engagements. So things that you should love to see, lots of likes, even better, lots of comments, even better, shares. Whew. If you get people sharing your content, you know you did a good job engaging them. So why am I putting this up here after I say don't chase your followers? because Marcy Bloom is a wedding planner out of New York City. She does an incredible job on her Instagram captions, and she's very funny and she sticks to her voice. And that is something you will know about her if you meet her in person. She's a very engaging, funny person. She's very charismatic. And when people find her on Instagram, they see the same thing. She is not chasing every single couple. She is just going to be totally herself. So instead of, playing into the desires of the peonies and the pinks and golds and things like that, she goes straight for the jugular and she writes captions like this. With this cute classic couple, walking through Central, deep in the wilds of Central Park. So she's funny about it. She's irreverent, and that's who she is. She's not chasing her followers. She's focused on entertaining and creating a high quality, engaging moment with the people who do follow her. We'll talk about how to get followers in a bit. That is much more about hashtagging, tagging, and all that stuff. But in this case, think about focusing on what you do best, what you can provide, whether it's a funny voice, an alternative to all that other boring, bland stuff. Maybe it's great images, but maybe it's just like your tone, or maybe it's your education. Maybe you can offer something that nobody else can when it comes to featuring a photo of a bouquet or of a dress, because you understand the construction of that and where those things came from. And that's something you could provide maybe in a caption. So think about that when you're thinking about quality over quantity. That's a mistake. You're not going to make it again, right? Right. Okay, number 3, you don't use your analytics. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, they all provide you with analytics tabs. And if you're not using them, you're missing out. You're totally missing out on followers and potential engagements. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're checking your analytics to understand how things are performing, how are posts performing. What will happen pretty quickly is that you'll discover that certain types of posts, even colors or captions or emojis, work better than others. Once you get into the rhythm of checking your analytics, it's not understand the people who are time. By the way, analytics are great because you can all last couple of months, what photo really resonated with my couples. Instead of thinking that you know best, look at the analytics and marry the two worlds together. Marry your gut instinct with what the numbers say, and you'll find some photos and maybe some really good findings for yourself that you can go off and use in other ways. For example, maybe you have a great photo that performed really well on Instagram. That might be the photo that you want to try now putting on your storefront on the Knot to catch couples' attention. Cool? Okay, so not using your analytics is the mistake. You've got to use your analytics tabs. And here, let me show you an example. When you're on Instagram and you go to your analytics tabs, you have to have a business profile, by the way, to do this. So everybody switch to a business profile as soon as you do. As soon as you get done with this webinar, do it right now. What you get to see is all of your top performing photos. So this was a snapshot from a while back on the Not Pro. We can see, of course, the tacos with the limes did the best. So again, pay attention to the top photos. Understanding them will help you understand who your audience is, understand what they really want, and allow you to push forward in that fashion so that you're really posting more and more photos that you know people are going to like. Okay? Mistake number 4, you don't schedule your posts for the week. I know, we're all busy. You guys are so busy because you're running businesses and you're having to be all things at once. But if you're not scheduling your posts for the week, you could be not only getting behind, but you're also like sort of wasting time for yourself. You don't want to be starting and stopping. That's like the number one mistake to make when it comes to time efficiency and time management for your own sanity. And there are scheduling tools out there. Some are free, some are paid, that can help you make sure that you're scheduling out your posts for the week. You're thinking in advance of what your followers are going to like, and you're putting it into motion. So it's one of the best ways to ensure that your social media channels not only look good, but they don't take over your life. So don't make the mistake of not scheduling them. Actually set some time aside for yourself. Learn the scheduling platforms, learn how to use them, or assign it to somebody if you have someone on your team to do it, and really dig in and get a good feel as to how to schedule your post, because it is a lifesaver, I am telling you now. So Before you do that, you're going to make sure that you're scheduling your posts for the best times. If you are able to look into your insights, you are all, by the way, able to do this. Look into your insights tab on Instagram, look on Facebook. You're going to find that there are certain times of the day that are best to schedule posts than others. So oftentimes for us, right before the top of the hour, late afternoon, early evening, think about that. That's kind of like before people are walking into their meetings, or around lunchtime, or early evening when they're walking out of work, nights and weekends, downtime. These are the times when couples are checking their social channels. Those are the right times to be scheduling. So you guys can be tricky about it too. Make sure that you understand when your followers are most active. It will tell you on your Insights tab, and then schedule your posts for those times. Set it and make it happen. Don't just guess, because you're actually going to be missing out on a lot of engagement if you do that. Okay, number 5 mistake. You don't take time to tag your photos. You have to tag your photos, and especially on Instagram and Facebook, which are the 2 channels that are very important to couples beyond the whole SEO of Pinterest stuff we already talked about. Tagging those photos is so important. That is how you're actually going to be able to reach into different communities and get them following you and finding you and discovering you. That's how it works. So posts that are tagged with other names and businesses will drive more engagements than ones that don't. So posting an image is great. I'm proud of you all for posting an image and having a caption and getting at it, but it's actually only half the job, not even, like 25% of the job. 75% of it is actually tagging your images, using hashtags, geotags, all those things, so that people can come find you and discover you. Okay. So here's what it looks like when you've tagged properly. You'll tag everybody who's associated with the idea in that image. So in this case, we have the florist, we have the planner, we have the rentals, we have everybody associated with what I'm seeing in this photo. It's okay if you want to tag a few other people who are associated with the wedding who don't normally get the credit, but I would urge you to focus in on the people responsible for what I am seeing in this photo, not just everyone and their mom, if you know what I mean. So even if it means posting less often, it's really okay. It's definitely more important to celebrate the community people who help pull off that photo than it is for you to post all the time. And so I urge you to do it. When it comes to, we get this question a lot actually, when it comes to your caption versus the photo, understanding where to tag what. For millennials, I think it comes pretty naturally, but for anyone who's sort of like just learning it, I would ask you to think about it this way. If you're looking at a photo of a cake, you should mention the cake baker in the caption itself, and you should mention the photographer in the caption itself, and probably you should mention the planner, if there is one, in the caption itself. Keep it limited to 3 or 4 people within your caption. Otherwise, what happens is it gets lost. People are scrolling through, they're looking at your caption, and if they see like 10 names in your caption, they're just gonna like blur all together and no one is gonna get the right credit. So stick to 3 or 4, I would suggest, in the caption itself, and then tag as many people as you want to in the photo itself. So you're tagging in the photo, and then you're also mentioning who's associated with that photo or that idea or that creation in the caption itself. Cool? Okay. And number 6, I think I said we were going to have 5 mistakes. We've got 6. You don't use hashtags. You have to use hashtags. That is the way that people are going to find you on Instagram. If you want anyone outside of your followers to see your photos, that's what you've got to do. So what does that look like? Let me show you an example here. La Tavola Linens, a rental company, let's see. They've got their caption, good job. They've got a couple hashtags in their caption because it works with the sentence. So in this case, they're saying all about this hashtag boho setup with our hashtag Tuscany linen and hashtag sweet pea linen napkins. Those are presumably hashtags that couples are searching on so that they're going to be able to find this image. Then what they do is they come in, they post the photo with the caption, tagged properly, etc. And then what La Tavola is doing, which is what I would recommend to all of you to do, is come in and actually comment, make a comment on your own photo with all of the other hashtags that you would use to describe this photo. So in this case, they're doing hashtag wedding inspo, hashtag design inspo, hashtag event planner. I would urge you to think local, think small, like Kansas City wedding venue or Kansas City modern venues, and then think really generic as well, like wedding cakes or wedding venues, or the not real weddings. So do a mix of those when you're thinking about your hashtags. And I would urge you that if you've got a photo that you know is killer and you want people to find and to follow and to engage with, comment on that photo. Add a lot of hashtags. You can add up to 30, but at least add 10 in that comment. That way people will be able to discover you. So it's a big mistake a lot of people make, is just not tagging, not hashtagging. Please do it. It is how people will find you. It's definitely the number one way. All right, I promise social media trends, and I'm going to show you social media trends. So in 2018, there has been a giant surge toward 24-hour content, meaning social content that is like only available in a 24-hour cycle. Snapchat sort of invented the idea, but Instagram has taken it to the next level, and that is where a lot of the activity has been on Instagram stories. So Instagram stories, look at this little graphic here. Between 2016 and 2017, usage of Instagram stories has more than doubled. It's probably tripled at this point, and it is going through the roof. And it is so important for all of you to understand that this is a trend. It's not going anywhere fast. And any of you guys who haven't started using Instagram stories to engage your followers should start doing it ASAP. So how do you do that? I would recommend using Instagram stories to build hype around your upcoming weddings. Unveil little behind the scenes details in the days and the hours leading up to the wedding. This is Emily Clark Events. She does a good job of it. She says, almost showtime, and then she tags the person responsible for this design. Very good idea. Venue owners can do it. Florists, cake bakers, anybody who's associated with the wedding coming up can do it. But bridal salon owners, you can do it too. You can build hype around the weekend of clients coming in with their moms and things like that. Instagram stories is a place where you really will be able to connect further with your followers. It's not just a photo, it's video, it's your voice, it's your clients' faces, it's the reactions. This is why it's growing so fast and rapidly, and this is why you should get on it, because weddings are all about this, really. And one more thing to add. You've been doing Instagram stories, and if you have, that's great. One of the things that you should add to your Instagram channel are your highlights. So now Instagram allows you to add it's kind of like sticky highlights to the top of your bio page. So some couple, for example, lands on HMR Designs, and here they've done a really good job. They've basically curated a series of highlights videos, which are really just from their Instagram stories. And now a couple can kind of explore their best of the best highlights from Instagram stories. So Instagram stories last for only 24 hours, but highlights last forever. So a couple can come in and look at their custom designs, winter florals, green and reds, whatever. Let me give you an example. If you're a florist, you might want to make sure that everybody understands that you're really, really good at tall centerpieces. So you could have a whole highlights on just tall centerpieces, or you could do a whole highlights on all your favorite moments from behind the scenes from your 2018 weddings, and you could add that into there. Instagram makes it really easy to do this. When you go to add a highlight, it brings up all the stories that you've done over the last year, and you can choose which ones you want to have appear in your highlights. You can always go back, delete, move things around, what have you. But that's a really good way to showcase Instagram stories and keep people engaged, keep people understanding who it is that you are. Cool? Okay. What else is trending? Video. Video is humongous. 80% of global internet traffic will be attributed to video by the year 2020. Of content shared by users is on SNS is all 90% is video. 87% of marketers are using video in their campaigns. And look at this one, 95% of your message will be retained by viewers when it's video, while only 10% with text. Video is up and coming. It's actually not even up and coming. It's here for real. And incorporating video into your social strategy is a very smart thing to do. So I think you all should be thinking a lot about that, ways to incorporate video. What about your business is in motion? What about it could be great for video? There's lots of ways to do it. I'm going to show you some examples. Here's one. Christopher Confero, a florist in the South. He shares a fellow videographer's highlight film from a wedding that he worked on. This is a really good way to get started. Using video will give you more reach on Facebook. It certainly works well for Instagram stories. So here, for example, partner up, find your favorite wedding videographer who shot that wedding from the one that you loved working on, and actually reshare that video. And kudos to Christopher for giving a big shout out to his fellow videographer here in his caption as well. That's a great way to cross connect and network on social media while also using video, while also celebrating his couple, and bonus points because he's now going to be seen in their friends and family's network. So he's reminding everybody who he is and what he does that is associated with his wedding. So great idea. That's one way to use video. Another way to use video, Cake Alchemy does this. I'm sure anybody who does anything with their hands or has a craft, if you're putting things together, can do this. Basically a how-to video. So she did like a quick snippet of one of her cake baker decorators creating this like beautiful teacup watercolor design. So if you guys do anything that's specialized like that, doing a behind the scenes video, posting it to Facebook, even doing it live, all the better, because you're going to be seen by more people. Facebook wants you to do it, so they're rewarding you by allowing your video to be reached, to like enlarge the reach on that video. And for you, it's great content because you are reinforcing the fact that you are good at what you do and you're a super duper expert. So one other way to use video, the White Dress by the Shore, Beth Chapman is the owner there. She does a great job too. She basically had one of her models modeling one of the newest arrivals of one of the dresses that they just bought for the store. What a great idea. This popped up in my feed and I saw it, along with lots and lots of other people. What a good idea. So think about what it is that you guys do, moments where you want to unveil something, moments where you're excited about what's going on in your venue or excited about what's going on in the shop, or even a networking event. That could be another great way to do it. But video is big. All right, next trend, an increase in influencer investment. How many of you guys have heard of influencer marketing or influencers in general? It's such a hot topic among the marketing world. And yes, it's a trend for social media and it's very important to understand, and big companies do it, but small ones can do it too. I'm going to show you how. So a few fun facts, like influencers bring in 10 times the rise in conversion rate than other marketing channels. Influencers really it's not about the big ones like Jessica Alba. It's more about micro influencers. So for you all, it's discovering who in your circles of friends can be influencers for your brand, who can be a good ambassador for you guys and help tap into the circles that you want to tap into. That's something to think about. So check this out. Magnolia Bluebird, she's a really awesome planner in DC. She says, excited to be working at Stone Tower Winery this weekend. I'm excited to see the transformation, et cetera, et cetera. She also did, by the way, a great job of tagging everybody in that photo. But what I want you to notice is that she's tagging one of the people who may be a pretty good influencer for her, the winery. Maybe the winery is the place that can act as a micro influencer for her. On the other hand, she is certainly acting as a micro influencer for the winery. So think about the people who you think could do a good job for you, touting your name naturally, and figure out ways to work with them more on social media and get them engaging with your content and get them maybe even sharing some of your content. That's what this trend is all about. Another example, this is Whitehall Events. This dress is perfection. She's talking about the dress itself. She's tagging the venue, all good things. She's doing a great job on her hashtags there. And another way to really tap into the influencer marketing idea is to actually use Messenger. Messenger, like Instagram Messenger and Facebook Messenger. This is a really easy way to get closer to the people who you want to be working with more, and the people who may be able to help create influence and create engagement and excitement about your business and brand. So use Messenger to chat with other pros and other influencers who you want to get to know better. Just sharing an example from my own chandelier event. We're talking back and forth, and what a good way to keep in touch. So it's a great way to keep in touch, and it's a good way to start thinking about who your influencers might be and working with them more closely on social media. All right, last but not least, how to grow your Instagram followers. I promised I would do it, and here it is. Some of these things I covered at the beginning, but I'm going to cover them again more in depth here. Number one, a clear and credible bio. If a couple comes to your Instagram profile and they don't understand what it is that you do, they see a quote, maybe, or they see like your city, but they don't actually know what it is you do, that's a problem. So you want to create a clear and credible bio. Otherwise, they're going to run away, or they're not going to be confused right off the bat, and you're going to have a hard time really like enticing them and engaging with them. So create a clear and credible bio. Feel free to play around with it and change it. Ours has changed many times over because we've discovered it's certain words and certain things work better. So that's on you to do that. Number two, come up with a strategy. We talked about this as well. Okay, in depth, think about it. Think about what photos you're going to post and then get at it. So I think for most of you guys, it's going to be details and it's going to be images from your events and from your weddings. Maybe in little snippets, maybe 1 out of 9 or 1 out of 6, you're going to do photos of your team because you want to make sure that people understand that you guys have a really close-knit group of women or women and men who work together. Or maybe one of the things you want them all to understand is that you work in a really amazing space. And so maybe 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 9 photos is actually just going to be the exterior space. Or maybe it's going to be a quote because you're actually all about your craft, but you're also about empowering women to do their best work. So whatever it is, come up with a strategy. It doesn't have to always be real wedding photos. What it should be is a reflection of who you are, the work you do primarily, so primarily your work, but also the things that you represent. So it could even be that you're an animal lover. And so every once in a while you post photos of like a cute dog, and you do it in a way that still is in keeping with your brand. So think about that. Coming up with a strategy for your content is very important. And by the way, once you have a strategy, it makes it easier to find the images that are going to work, and it makes it easier to plan and to schedule. And when you do see an image that pops up, photographer sends it over maybe to you, you know exactly that's the one you're going to be using on Instagram later that month. Post regularly is number 3. You don't have to post every day. You do have to post regularly. You want to make sure that there's a certain cadence to the way you post. So posting weekly is fine. Posting a couple times a week is better, but definitely look at your analytics, which is number 4, and understand when the best times to post are going to be. Analytics will tell you when your couples are online and most active, and those are the times to post. And that may also inform you as to how often you should be posting per week. Number 5, tag vendors and use geotags. Geotags we didn't cover originally, meaning the venue or the spot where that took place, because that's just one more spot that couples are using to discover and uncover content and ideas for their weddings. So you want to make sure you're tagging all the relevant people in the photo, in the caption, and using those geotags. All right, more on growing your Instagram using hashtags. Think keywords. Remember keywords. Just never forget, if you post a photo without hashtags, you're basically like chopping off your arm. You've got to use them. Number 8, engage. Engaging is like very underrated, I would say. A lot of people forget that it's not just about what you're putting out there, but it's about what you're giving to the community on social. So go through, engage with your followers, write them back when they comment on your post. Go to their posts, engage with them, like their photos, comment on their photos. In fact, comment are way better. As Carly, our fearless founder, said once, likes are lazy. So engage with your followers. And by the way, I can't prove this, but I find that when the Not Pro, or when I personally go off and engage with more people on Instagram, I tend to get more followers. So there's a good motivation there to go ahead and engage with as many people as possible on your platforms. And number 9, use Instagram stories, because more and more couples and people in general are turning to Instagram stories at the top of their Instagram feed rather than scrolling through those photos. So you're having less of an opportunity to get their attention by your photo and more of an opportunity to grab their attention when you've posted to stories. And remember, those disappear after 24 hours. So keeping a constant stream of content on Instagram stories is a great way to engage with your followers. Here, again, we said, I showed this earlier, using it behind the scenes, from on the job, behind the scenes, leading up, industry and networking events. If you come to one of our mixers, we always have Instagram-worthy moments there, always, and you should totally take advantage of it and post it to your stories. Our workshops, we do the same thing there. Even the more mundane stuff, if you want people to understand that, like, you're a big fan of the local baseball team and you're at the game, that's no shame in doing that. Just make sure that it's relevant to the people that are watching you. Like, it wouldn't make sense to go to another, like a completely random place where people who follow you don't really care about, right? Okay, does that make sense? But eating out to restaurants, going on vacation, any time that you're traveling, these are all moments, and this is all potentially content that you can put on your Instagram stories to engage with the people who follow you and help them get to know who you are a little bit better, because that is really what all of this is about. It's actually about building a relationship with them so that by the time that they pick up the phone and they say, hey, when are you available? There's less of a time that you have to spend on getting to know one another, because they actually feel like they already know you because they've been watching you on Instagram stories, right? All right, we've come to the end. Top 5 takeaways from our social media masterclass are: number 1, schedule those social posts. Do not be lazy about this, everybody. Take the time to schedule your posts. You could set aside time every Monday, every Tuesday, maybe after the long weekend, you got your coffee and you get down to it and you schedule your posts. Number 2, use your analytics tabs. Work smarter, not harder. That's what that's all about. Number 3, look for new ways to use video and increase reach and engagement. That's one of the hottest trends in social media. It's not going anywhere anytime fast. Make best friends with your videographer friends. They have great content too, but also use video on your phone and things like that to engage and increase your reach. Number 4, tag those influencers, engage with them through Messenger, and use hashtags to be found. And number 5, engage with your followers through comments, through Messenger, through likes, and all that jazz. I promise you, I don't know the algorithms or anybody who works over there, but I do know that it works. I just want to thank you all again for joining us for today's social media webinar. This was a members-only webinar, and that is because we want you to succeed. We want you to do great business, connect with couples. Again, think about social media. It's just one more way to develop a relationship online with your couples so that by the time they get to you on the phone, it is all about the date that you're available and nothing else. You guys, we are here for you. If you have any questions at all, you can always find me. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Anya Winnica. It's just my name, kind of a long one. You can also find us at The Not Pro on Instagram, at The Not Pro on Facebook. Our blog is here for you as well. We are always posting relevant content from our real wedding study, insights, whatever's going on in the industry. That's where you can find us. And at the end of the day, if you have a question for us, email me. It's hello@thenotpro.com. Thank you all for joining me today. I've had a great time talking social media, and we will see you next month for our May webinar. So get ready, and thanks again for joining. See you next month. Bye.